Alkis, was machen wir jetzt? Nehmen wir diese Episode eine Woche vorm Erscheinen auf. Heute ist ja der 21. Juli. Wenn die Episode erscheint, wissen wir vielleicht den Gastgeber, also die Stadt, wo es stattfinden wird. Und jetzt müssen wir irgendwie so tun, als ob, oder? Wie wir darauf reagieren.
Also
Sofia oder Burgas.
Weißt du was, Marco? Wir nehmen jetzt einfach beide Versionen auf. Also okay, wir beginnen jetzt einfach mal. Also, Sofia. It's no secret anymore. Sofia wird den Eurovision Song Contest 2027 hosten und es ist wohl keine Überraschung.
Damit war wirklich zu rechnen, Alkis, muss man sagen. Also Sofia war einfach der Top-Favorit, nicht? Und ja, jetzt freuen wir uns auf die bulgarische Hauptstadt und den Eurovision Song Contest. So, jetzt Schnitt. Alkis, so, es ist soeben bekannt gegeben worden, Burgas wird den Eurovision Song Contest 2027 veranstalten.
Also wir fahren völlig überraschend an die Schwarzmeerküste. Wer hätte das gedacht?
Also Burgas war wirklich der Außenseiter, oder? Ja, jetzt wo du sagst, es liegt ja am Meer.
Genau.
Es liegt am Meer. Jetzt bin ich eigentlich dafür, dass Burgas gewinnt.
Es wird Sofia, vermutlich.
An der Schwarzmeerküste.
Merci, Chérie, der Eurovision Song Contest Podcast aus Wien, Hannover und Curitiba.
Mir gegenüber sitzt Alkis Vlasakakis.
Mein Vis-à-vis ist Marco Schreuder.
Und das Thema heute, Barock, Bombast, Bangaranga, der Eurovision Song Contest als Hofspektakel.
Also, falls ihr nichts mit Barock anfangen könnt, bleibt trotzdem dran. Es ist auch für Nichtkenner sehr spannend, wie sehr sich kulturelle Traditionen über Jahrhunderte halten und wie sie sich dann auch immer wieder neu erfinden.
Genau, bevor wir losstarten, wir reden nachher über ein anderes Barockspektakel, das jedes Jahr im Theater Ariston stattfindet. Dort gibt es nämlich interessante Änderungen beim Festival di Sanremo. Ist ja ein Barockspektakel.
Ja, das stimmt auch. Ja. Und in der kleinen Song-Contest-Geschichte am Schluss rede ich über die Oper natürlich, was sonst?
Ein Barockspektakel.
Na, nicht ganz, aber fast.
Ja, Dr. Eurovision Irving Wolther veranstaltet schon seit vielen, vielen Jahren die Eurovisions-Konferenz rund um den ESC, immer in der aktuellen Gastgeberstadt, so eben auch 2026 in Wien.
Wir haben ihn daher eingeladen und mit einem der Wissenschaftler. Der kommt aus Brasilien und hat erstaunliche Parallelen zwischen der Inszenierung und der Politik hinter Barockopern und dem Eurovision Song Contest untersucht. Aber das hört ihr jetzt mal selbst.
Wir haben zwei Gäste heute und mit einem fange ich jetzt einmal Deutsch zu sprechen an und wir beide, lieber Irving Wolther, wir müssen nachher ins Englische wechseln. Wir erklären nachher gleich warum, aber warum du heute bei uns bist, du machst ja jedes Jahr eine Eurovisions-Konferenz und so war das auch jetzt in Wien. Das ist ja immer, das wandert quasi mit dem Eurovision Song Contest-Zyklus mit. Genau. Und war auch in Wien wieder eine Eurovisions-Konferenz. Vielleicht erklärst du unseren Zuhörerinnen und Zuhörern mal, was ist überhaupt diese Konferenz?
Ja, diese Konferenz wurde 2018 das erste Mal durchgeführt, nachdem Portugal den Eurovision Song Contest 2017 in Kiew gewonnen hatte. Dachte ich mir, es muss doch jetzt mal in Portugal eine vernünftige Eurovisionskonferenz mit einem anderen Schwerpunkt stattfinden. Und ich kannte noch von einer Eurovisionstagung aus Malmö eine Kollegin, Sofia Verherrlichung, und die habe ich angeschrieben, hat gefragt, ob sie nicht Lust hätte, sowas Ethnomusikologisches auf die Beine zu stellen. Und die war gleich angefixt und dann haben wir gemeinsam die erste Eurovisions-Konferenz in 2 Teilen in Portugal stattfinden lassen. Einen im Februar auf Portugiesisch und dann einen im Mai zum Song Contest. Und haben uns sehr gefreut über den großen Zuspruch, hatten auch extra eine Sektion für Nachwuchsforscherinnen, den Science Slam, weil wir gesehen haben, es gibt so viele Eurovision-Fans, die das eben auch als wissenschaftliches Thema begreifen und darüber ihre Bachelor- und Masterarbeiten schreiben und bei den regulären Konferenzen ja immer so ein bisschen hinten überfallen. Und nach dem ersten Erfolg dachten wir, ja, war schön, ne? Und dann kam aber die Kollegin Carla und meinte so, lass uns das doch nächstes Jahr auch in Israel machen. Und
da erinnere ich mich, da war ich nämlich zu Gast, du hast mich eingeladen.
Ja. Genau, da warst du bei einer Podiumsdiskussion zusammen, auch mit dem portugiesischen Unterhaltungschef, der für den Song Contest verantwortlich ist. Und so haben wir dann unsere Netzwerke, die wir hatten, genutzt, um das Thema Eurovision auf wissenschaftlicher Ebene bekannter zu machen. Und dieses Jahr in Wien, das war die 9. Konferenz. Wir freuen uns jetzt auf unsere 10. Jubiläumsveranstaltung dann in Bulgarien nächstes Jahr. Und da rufe ich jetzt schon alle ESC-Fans auf, die sich wissenschaftlich mit dem Song Contest beschäftigen. Meldet euch bei uns. Wir freuen uns über eure Beiträge, über eure wissenschaftlichen Arbeiten, die ihr dann hoffentlich dann in Sofia oder in Plovdiv oder in Burgas oder in Varna bei der nächsten Eurovision International Conference vorstellen könnt.
Beim Kuratieren der Ausstellung habe ich selber bemerkt, auf wie vielen wissenschaftlichen Ebenen und Disziplinen Eurovision eine Rolle spielen kann. Ja? Was hat dich bisher am meisten überrascht? Welches Thema oder welche Einreichung?
Also ich muss immer daran zurückdenken, wie Kevin Quigley, ein US-amerikanischer Forscher, mit leuchtenden Augen berichtet hat, wie er den Eurovision Song Contest nutzt, um US-amerikanischen SchülerInnen Geografie beizubringen. Und die haben das also gemeinsam geschaut und dann war dann hinterher in den Gängen so die Diskussion, ja, also ich fand Nordmazedonien besser als Albanien bei Schülern, die normalerweise gar nicht wissen, dass es diese Länder überhaupt gibt. Und das war natürlich eine ganz großartige Geschichte zu sehen, wie das eben didaktisch eingesetzt werden kann. Und persönlich fand ich das ganz großartig, dass eine Doktorandin im Bereich Architektur geforscht hat zu den Bauwerken, die bei der Punktevergabe im Hintergrund immer eingeblendet werden. Und welche Symbolkraft da drin steckt und wie die dargestellt werden. Das fand ich außerordentlich spannend. Und das hat mir gezeigt, dass man wirklich für jede wissenschaftliche Disziplin einen Anknüpfungspunkt beim Song Contest findet. Ich denke, auch die Sportwissenschaften studieren, die werden beim Song Contest ganz fündig werden, wenn sie sich in Choreografien reinfuchsen und da schauen, welche interessanten Leibesertüchtigungen da auf der Bühne stattfinden.
Ich verweise auf die vorletzte Episode Fußball und Eurovision und wie viele Berührungspunkte ich gefunden habe in der Recherche, war unzahllos. Ja. Aber du hattest dieses Jahr in Wien ja auch einen Science Slam. Und wer hat den denn gewonnen und mit welchem Thema?
Ja, ich war sehr, sehr glücklich, dass wir Gäste hatten aus der ganzen Welt, aus Südkorea und auch aus Brasilien. Und der brasilianische Teilnehmer am Science Slam, Raphael de Campos, sorry. ich muss
It's fine. He's here. Irving, I have a surprise for you. He is here.
This is the most embarrassing part of this show because I'm mixing up all these long Portuguese Brazilian names. So, Raphael Medeiros de Campos, and this was probably pronounced in a too Portuguese way.
I'm happy that you said it. So this is the moment where we switch to English because Raphael, you are here with us from a city in Brazil. And you just told me before which city it is. Tell the Austrians and the Germans and the people from Switzerland, in which city do you live and why should we visit it?
Okay, so I'm from a city called Curitiba, which is in the southern part of Brazil. And it's just, it's just beautiful. They say it's like the European city from Brazil, which I think is, a very generous thing to say, but still, it's very nice. I think you should definitely come and see it.
All right. So welcome to our podcast. Irving was in our podcast many times, but it's your first time. And you won the Science Slam this year at the Eurovision conference organized by Irving, right?
Yeah, by a big margin even.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who's deciding it actually? Who wins? Is there a jury or is there a televote as well? Or who is deciding who's the winner of the Science Slam?
It's definitely the audience. They can decide already when there are the first presentation videos of the researchers. But during the conference itself, they can also vote for the most impressive way how they can fight for their research in front of our dinosaurs that are the established Eurovision researchers that are asking questions to our science members.
The dinosaurs. All right. So you won with 100% televotes, as I just heard. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a very nice experience for me. It's always a pleasure to present research that is like Eurovision related, and to be part of like such a nice group of researchers as well. It was super nice.
I was surprised to hear that there is so much Eurovision research in Brazil. There was already a few months ago a dedicated conference in Brazil where my colleague Sofia Vera Lopes was taking part.
Yeah, I think it's like something that is still growing, because the Eurovision is not very much like, it's not a big part of our culture yet. But I feel like, especially like in the last couple of years, like it's been a little bit more like prominent, I would say. So yeah, I've heard about this conference as well, but I only heard about it like afterwards. So it's a little sad for me. But I'm pretty sure that from now on, more things are going to show up. So.
We didn't reveal yet what you researched. But before we do that, we're of course interested, because you just said that Eurovision is not a very famous thing in Brazil. And we now see Eurovision coming up more places, like Canada will join, Australia already joined like 11 years ago. I know that in former years, in the 60s and 70s, Eurovision was even shown on Brazilian television, also Sanremo. But I think this is not happening anymore. So how is the situation in Brazil when it comes to Eurovision?
So yeah, that's true. Like I think they screened it in open TV like 3 times, like in the end of the 60s, early 70s. And then if you wanted to watch the Eurovision, you had to have like cable TV and watch it in like an international channel. So that has been the situation for a long time. And then after a while, the YouTube transmissions as well, they're not geo-blocked in here, which is very good. And since 2024, there is this TV streaming service that actually bought the rights of the Eurovision, but it's not very famous. I had never heard about it before. So I think it still has like a limited kind of reach.
And how did Eurovision find you?
So actually, I grew up knowing about it, but it has always been this kind of like weird, campy thing that Europeans like, and it doesn't really translate to us, you know.
But who told you that you grew up with it?
Yeah, like we've seen like how to say, like maybe like in news outlets or something. Okay. Like, you know, I remember when Conchita first won, something appeared because, you know, of the it was something very different. And also before that, like in the beginning of the 2000s, the sax guy as well. So here and there, a couple of things appeared, but it wasn't really part of our culture. And in 2023 only, my boyfriend, he's Israeli, and he's never been like into the Eurovision or anything, but he was in a watch party, I think, and he recorded a little bit of the TV for me. And I was like, oh, what's that? That sounds very interesting. And I remember it was, Who the Hell Was Edgar? So I went to the website and I listened to it and I was like, this is so fun. Yeah, it's the Austrian entry, right? And I started listening to another one and then another one. And that was semifinal 2. So I rushed to watch semifinal 1 and 2. And then I watched the final on that day. And I had my first like post-European depression. And luckily I had like 70 years almost of tradition to just go back to. And that's how it happened. Yeah.
Great. Are you sometimes surprised, Irving, in which countries people are researching about Eurovision sometimes?
Totally. And I'm also very surprised to see the big fan communities in countries like the Philippines and Venezuela. And I wonder how they got in touch with the contest, and that they spread their love for the contest in such a way. And I'm even happier to see that there's an increasing number of researchers doing their scientific work with Eurovision.
Raphael, how do you describe Eurovision to your Brazilian friends if they never heard about it?
I usually try to say that it's like a song competition where mostly European countries send a representative and they, you know, compete every year, and the one who wins it then hosts it the following year. But honestly, I've kind of given up trying to convert people. I try to find the ones who already like it. You know, it's easier. because we have this thing in Brazil where like our musical culture is like very Brazilian based, so it doesn't have a lot of entrance of like other sorts of languages beyond like English. So that's a difficulty.
But you have similar competitions and similar festivals in South America as well, right? Viña del Mar, for example.
Oh, okay, yeah. But the thing is that we actually do, like even in the Intervision, like Brazil was part of it, right? Like, was it this year, I think? Or was it last year?
Last year.
But they revived it. Yeah, Brazil was part of it as well, but like no one heard about it. Like it's not a thing. It doesn't really like resonate.
It's better to not hear about it anyway.
Sometimes it is.
But the funny thing was that a very camp Vietnamese guy won, right?
Yeah, it was very big. Like the spectacle side of it was impressive.
Yeah. So, Raphael, let's reveal what you've done and what your research is, because when I heard about it and Irving told me about it, I was immediately hooked on that because I love to go to the opera. And explain us, what is your topic? What did you research about?
So my research was attempting to kind of explain why I believe that the Eurovision can be perceived as a sort of like neo-Baroque spectacle. So I feel like it has a lot of similarities to these kinds of spectacles that we used to have in the Baroque period, especially because of the political use of wonderment. So I think that would be it.
Okay, that's great. For everyone who's listening now and has no idea, Baroque, I've heard that. That's the period around 1600 to 1750, before the Rococo came. It's the area with Caravaggio and Rubens who started this, and with the Dutch painters. But in southern Germany and Austria, it's more like very decorative, very strong emotions. And the music industry became huge, especially in the aristocratic community. In the big castles, we all know Versailles, Schönbrunn, and so. Yeah, and there were huge spectacles with operas, starting with Monteverdi in 1600s, and then with Handel, of course, Georg Friedrich Handel, who was probably is still played in a lot of opera houses. And you found out similarities between those operas and Eurovision, which sounds very stunning. So what did you find out?
No, so I think like in the Baroque period, there was like the time in which these kinds of spectacles were used for propaganda, for diplomatic and governance tools. So I felt that the Eurovision also worked in a similar way when you have the countries promoting themselves under a certain light, or when they're talking about certain events or promoting certain ideals. So I think that's the core thing. And then when it comes to the wonderment aspect, it has to do with like how they actually make it happen. So both are this kind of musical spectacles that are staged, that use illusions, machinery. So we're talking about, this very multisensory spectacles that have, not only music, but visual aspects as well, engineering. We're talking about costumes and sets. All of that to really create this emotional response, but always, linked to some sort of political goal.
Now, what are typical political goals in those days which you would compare to Eurovision nowadays?
So I was using mostly Tim Carter for that, and he has, first of all, like these spectacles, they are celebratory by nature, right? So we're talking about Before we used to talk about the spectacles trying to uplift a specific house or the church. And the Eurovision is somehow trying to, celebrate the idea of an Europeanness, right? This identity or this communion between these countries that are joining the show. But the Baroque spectacles, they used to have other sorts of uses, such as they used to be used for fostering social cohesion, for establishing class distinction, and to impress the audience as a display of wealth and prosperity. So in the social cohesion part, for example, if we're talking about French ballets, we have the ballets being a space in which messages were delivered in a very explicit manner. So if we're thinking about Louis XIV, and he was known as the Sun King because he really liked dancing ballet, and he danced in this specific ballet where he was representing the sun. He had a costume of the sun, and we had people dancing around him, gravitating towards around him, and which is this kind of visual representation of absolutism, right? What that society was all about. But we also have that in the end of the ballets where people were invited to join in the dance, and then everyone could, be part of that, and that created an idea of a community, right? A harmonious community, taking part of that kind of fun. So that is one side of it. It was also used for coercion as well. So the whole idea of Versailles is already to have most nobles in the same space, so you can, they will be less prone to plot against you. They will be entertained all the time, so they have less free time, but also they will be happier. And this entertainment is always all giving these ideas of propaganda about the regime and how good the king is and how right this is. So it was operating in that way. So when we're thinking about the Eurovision, this idea of social cohesion, I think, has a lot to do with the joining of this group. Of course, the Eurovision has also other goals, such as the economic part of sharing content with the Eurovision network, right? So there is that side of things as well. But when we're talking about this post-Cold War environment, we're talking also about strengthening these bonds of the Western Bloc through culture, right? And the Eurovision and the EBU, they promote certain values such as unity and universality and equality, and all of these things are kind of promoted through the contest itself, even democracy with the voting system and so on. And it becomes a space of acceptance or rejection. So that's why we have these kinds of debates about Russia or Israel or having Turkey and Hungary leaving because they don't agree with certain values that are promoted in the contest. So it becomes a space of dispute as well. But it is trying somehow to create this idea of this, to foster this cohesion in between these people. So that's one thing. When it comes to class distinctions, we're talking about, in the Eurovision specifically, the amount of money that is invested in this show, right? So we have the distinctions when it comes to the Big Four and the Big Five, which is the biggest one. But also, it starts to be clear the economic differences in between these countries that are participating and the possibilities that they have to put on a show and to create an impact in this arena, right? So it's a little bit different. These things are not operating in the same way, but I think there is this similarity of the goals behind them, And when it comes to impressing the audience, it's really about soft power and crafting this kind of idea of national branding. So we're talking about Azerbaijan trying to project this idea of a modern country, and then they create this huge arena, the Baku Crystal Hall, with all of the technology and so on. So I think that those are some of the similarities that exist when it comes to these political uses.
And what were the special effects you had on the stages in Baroque area, which you still could use actually on a Eurovision stage?
Yeah,
they had water,
that,
for example, right? They had water effects sometimes, and Jetward had that as well.
Fireworks.
Yeah, and fireworks.
Yeah, exactly. Water, fireworks, all of these things that.
So Salvador Sobral is wrong when he said it's not about fireworks.
Yeah, I think it is. I think right now it is. But that's the thing, he was very minimalist, and that's also an aesthetic choice, right? So this becomes a very impressive thing, exactly in contrast to these other big things that are going on, right? So it's not just we don't want the fireworks, but it's we know that if we don't use the fireworks, it's going to call attention as well to the music. So,
When I saw your performance, no, do you say performance? Your speech you gave on the screen for the Eurovision conference. We will link it because you can still watch it on YouTube. Look at the show notes, and there you'll find a link to your, how do you call it? Your science slam. Yes, that's the name.
Yeah, my presentation.
Presentation. Thank you. And I was surprised because I never thought about it, of course. I mean, you have to find this connection. How did you find this connection? I think Irving told me as well. He was totally surprised when he heard about that the first time.
Absolutely.
Oh, so it took a little while, to be honest. Like, I knew I knew I had to choose something, and I didn't want to leave the other one behind. And I was thinking, like, why do I like these things? And there were like a lot of reasons, but the spectacle was one big thing. Like, both of them were like very strong in that department. So I started to notice like small similarities between them regarding both my experience and aesthetic stuff. So I was thinking, well, when I'm watching these things, I like when you have, dance, when you have, these cool props. I like to be surprised. I like to have variety, like musical variety. So in operas, you used to have, even like singers used to request that, they wanted to showcase all of their possibilities. So they wanted to have all sorts of arias that they could sing in one opera. And when it comes to the Eurovision as well, like I think that a balanced night would have, a rock entry, an EDM entry, a girl bop, and a power ballad. You want this kind of dynamism to the event. So those were some things. And also when it comes to the structure of the show itself. So in the Baroque period, if we're talking about like weddings, they used to be very, very lavish, and they used to last for a long time. So you had like a bride coming from a different city, and she would travel, and you would have like this different parades in different cities, right? So it's her trajectory until she gets to the main event. And then the main event could last, for days or a week, having private and public events going on. So you had operas, you had balls, you had spoken play, you had feasts, you had games. So it was this big thing. And thinking about the Eurovision, I think it's not, of course, the same, but it has some similarities that I was noticing. So you had like the Eurovision, how do you call that? Is it the Eurovision tour? Like those shows that you have before the Eurovision in different cities in Europe?
Pre-parties.
The pre-parties, yeah, in different cities. And then you have the main event, which lasts a whole week. So it starts with this protocolar thing, which is the turquoise carpet. And then you have 3 shows. The most important one is the grand finale, but you have there's 2 semifinals, and then each show of those have like other 2 shows, right? You have the afternoon show, you have the jury show, and you have private and public ways of engaging with it. So you can buy a ticket, or you can be, in the Euro Village or in the Euro Club, or, have other ways of being part of this whole event, which lasts, for a long time. So all of those things were starting to show up for me. But I had like this connections that I didn't know what to do with until I realized that, the political part was the thing that was driving all of that. And then, I was onto something. So that's kind of how it came about. But it took a while.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. But on the other hand, is it really that these 2 worlds, the Baroque opera and Eurovision, have the similarities? Or is it also 2 examples of what music can do in general? Like, I mean, we had music competitions already in ancient Greece. We had, I just think about Richard Wagner and his opera, Die Meistersinger von Nürnberg, which is about a song competition, a song contest based on medieval texts. So, Irving, maybe you also know a bit more about this.
Culture has been used as a power tool since the existence of humanity, let's say, because the one who could play an instrument was able to touch people in a way that others couldn't. Mm-hmm. And when we see in history how closely related music and power were especially in the period of Baroque and when the musicians highly depended on the mecenate of influential nobility and later of rich business owners who were just giving them the money to survive and to be creative. So we see that all these factors are intertwined and until today, and we will see also how this balance of power, let's say, will be affected by the influence of artificial intelligence, when there are now researchers saying that handmade music will be a privilege of the rich, because they will be the ones who can still afford it, and the rest of humanity will just be satisfied with AI composed music that sounds like the music that you're used to listen to. So this is historical development that is going on and on and on. And I hope that Eurovision will still be and remain a place where handmade music can show what human creativity is able to do.
Do you want to add something, Raphael?
I think that's it. I think it's not only music. I think art has this power, but music has something very special in it, like regarding how it accesses like emotions in a very like unconscious way, right? So I do agree with everything that was said.
This year particularly, I was surprised after I listened to your presentation. My way of watching the presentations on the Eurovision stage changed, because suddenly I started watching them as parts of a Baroque opera. And especially
this is awesome. Awesome feedback.
Yeah, the presentation of Finland was so Baroque, in fact, in the way that she's playing there, and then suddenly you don't look for a moment, and then she's in a different place. Or the Austrian singer that was elevated like a Deus ex piano.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting.
Yeah, in Haus der Geschichte, Österreich, it's a museum. The curator who did the other exhibition, we worked together, Florian Wagner, he is researching at the moment but on the songs constructed as little opera pieces, as music theater pieces. Because actually, what you get at Eurovision are a lot of 3-minute operas.
Yeah, you have
with staging, with a director, with ballet, and sometimes it's a sad ballad like you have in the Baroque operas, and sometimes it's up-tempo. And if there is one opera era with up-tempo music, it's the Baroque. They can be very fast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you have this very little like beginning and stories, right? And I think that's the thing with Eurovision. Like, it might not be like this cohesive thing. It is cohesive, but like not as a one narrative. But it's like this one entertainment experience that ends up working as such as an opera would have been. So I think that's very interesting. Even if you think of like, this is something else that I have talked about, which is the fact that we have not only like this main dish, let's say, which are the entries, but we have this other performances in between, right? You have like during the show, I mean, so the guest performances and so on, and they are also serving to like uplift the event itself or the host country. And all of that is also operating, such as like, the intermedi used to be then, which were these very like lavish spectacles as well in between the acts of the spoken play, just to, celebrate whatever was going on, be it the wedding, be it the house or something. Mm-hmm. So everything works in a very like self-contained way that I feel like it's kind of like, equivalent, like the modern day equivalent.
I know from Irving that he loves Johann Sebastian Bach, so he's very, very, very keen to Baroque music, even if Bach is already a bit of of pre-classical, you can say. But what is your favorite Baroque music, and how did you find your way to Baroque music, Raphael?
Oh, my favorite is Monteverdi. I really liked the early music sound, but it took me a while to get into opera because in my city, we never had like an opera house or anything, but we did have here and there some concerts. And the thing is that they always chose some not very beginner-friendly operas to perform. So it was always like a concert of the Freischütz or a concert of Ariadne et Bacchus, like an obscure Baroque opera. So it was never like something easy to just sit and be like, involved by it for someone who never heard of any of that before. But I remember that when I watched L'Orfeo by Monteverdi was on YouTube, it was like this, film opera thing with Ponel, very nice production. And that's the one that actually, spoke to me. I felt something very deep in me. And I was like, okay, I think this is what I really love.
Okay. Funny. Most people are saying Henry Purcell, but you're saying something different. And you know what? My favorite opera singer, countertenor singer, is not JJ, but a Brazilian singer.
Oh, Bruno de Sá?
Bruno de Sá, yeah.
He's amazing, yeah. I was lucky enough to see him here once singing Bach, by the way. And right before he went to Europe and became a big thing. And it's just very impressive, mind-blowing.
I saw him a few weeks ago. Alessandro Nelindie by Leonardo Vinci. Not Leonardo da Vinci, but Leonardo Vinci.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's so long, this one, right?
Yeah, it's very long. So we have Eurovision Song Contest Asia starting this year. What about Eurovision Song Contest Latin America?
Oh, I think that would be fun. I mean, it would be very different. I'm not sure exactly how that would work. We can keep the format, of course, but when it comes to, all of these things operating underneath, the national branding would definitely stay and so on, but I'm not sure how the dynamic of those countries taking part of such thing, how that would be. I have no idea, but I think it would be fun to see.
What do you think, Irving? Eurovision Song Contest Latin America, would that be successful or would it be a problem because there are the two languages, right?
Yeah, but in the past we had the OTI Festival until the late 80s, where we also had Spain, Portugal, and parts of Latin America participating. To be honest, for me, it was always a little bit boring because I felt that the songs sounded quite similar to each other. But
Eurocentric.
Definitely. I admit that. But it worked for so many years. Why shouldn't it work again?
Yeah, we used to have this tradition of having this song contest, especially on TV, back in the 60s and so on. Was a very strong thing, but it was, as I said, Brazilian music, for Brazilians. I'm not sure how this international thing would work for us specifically. Maybe for Spanish-speaking countries, it would be different.
Yeah. What also surprised me was that there were a lot of cover versions in Brazil in the 60s and 70s of Eurovision songs.
In the 60s and 70s, I'm not sure. Really? Which ones? Yeah.
I can send you some MP3 files. I think no one in Brazil knows them, probably. But there were singles, 7-inch singles in the 60s where Brazilian singers were singing Eurovision songs. Yeah.
This is awesome. Yeah. I know that...
a lot of Sanremo songs, actually.
Oh, yeah. I think I won't remember an example now, but I know that in the new ones, sometimes they do make some versions. I remember that Lorraine's Tattoo became like this sertanejo song. So they put like this different kind of beat and like a sad lyric and so on. And it's happening still. So it is becoming somehow known, but in a different way.
Thank you so much, Raphael. We have always 3 questions at the end. We ask every guest who is in our show, and I will ask Irving as well. He has answered these questions a lot, but one is new. Which song of the Eurovision Song Contest 2026, Raphael, is still on your playlist?
I think I'm going through that moment in which, I've listened to all of them a lot, and so I'm like giving it a break a little. But I think I still listen to My System by, I think it's a Sweden's
from Sweden.
Yeah. I think I listened to that one.
Yeah, it was the first I deleted from my playlist.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like my ranking usually doesn't really isn't the same as the ones I listen to.
I was
it's usually it's different. Yeah,
I was making a little joke. Irving, which song of 2026 is still on your playlist?
Oh, now this is the moment of truth. This is the first time in my Eurovision fan career that I don't have a single song of the national of any nation in my personal playlist. There are lots of songs that I like, but none of them is so close to my heart that I want to listen to it over and over again.
Which is your favorite memory of the Eurovision Song Contest, Raphael?
It's definitely my master's degree. Thanks to it, yeah.
That's a good answer, of course. I can't remember your answer, Irving, the last time, but now you can restart. Maybe there's a recent one. Or what's your favorite memory on the Eurovision Song Contest 2026 in Vienna?
No, yeah, this is. It was definitely the conference because it was such a wonderful atmosphere, so relaxed. So because in the past 2 years, due to the tensions around Israel and the conflict in Middle East, we always were fearing for some things going wrong, protests and whatsoever, and it was so relaxed in Vienna, and everyone was so friendly, and also the atmosphere during the conference was so great. I enjoyed it so much. We had so many viewers also online following the conference, a new record. So that made me very, very happy, and that made me aware also of how big the interest is in Eurovision-related research.
Mm-hmm. So, Raphael, what is your all-time favorite Eurovision entry?
Oh, that's probably one of the hardest questions you asked.
I know. That's why we are asking that.
Yeah. So I think that there are some like rare moments in which, because music never happens in a vacuum, right? So there are these rare moments in which I think extra musical stuff come together with like a great song, and it creates this magical thing. And so I think my favorite entry is Ofra Haza's Chai, which was Israel's in 1983. And I think, I'm sorry, Luxembourg, it should have won, but it's just gorgeous. I think
of course it should have won. Totally. It was the best song that year.
Exactly. Yeah. The lyrics are beautiful. Ofra Haza's voice is just, crystal clear, and the orchestration is gorgeous. Yeah. I really love it. But I love a lot of things. I love,
Irving, did something changed in your perspective? It's still Norway 1966, I think, right?
Exactly. It still is, and will always be Åse Klevelands Intet in the Solen.
I will look for the Baroque operas now at Eurovision.
No, but it's great.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And thank you, Irving, for connecting us. I think this Eurovision conference is really, really a very fabulous thing you're doing. And please keep on doing this wonderful work, Irving.
Yeah, and you all, please keep on researching Eurovision and send in your contributions to our conference, that we can continue having these interesting science slams with a variety of topics that you would never have imagined could rise out of this competition.
Yeah, and I think I have to do an episode about the buildings in the background of the point speakers. that sounds fabulous, really.
I would connect you with the link to get your PhD on that.
Yes, that's really a fabulous thing. Okay, thank you so much, Raphael, for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Obrigado.
Yeah, Obrigado.
And as we always say, merci, chérie.
Merci, chérie. Wir müssen reden. Und zwar über Neues aus Sanremo.
Ja, und zwar richtig Neues, wenn du mich fragst.
Fangen wir mal chronologisch an. Also die Rai hat vergangene Woche im Rahmen ihrer Programmvorstellung für die Saison 2026-2027 offiziell bestätigt, dass es beim Festival di Sanremo 2027 einen eigenen ESC-Abend geben wird.
Es ist also am 4. Abend, das ist der Freitag. Sanremo läuft ja immer von Dienstag bis Samstag. Und der Freitag, das ist immer der Tag, an dem ein bisher sehr geliebter Coverabend immer stattfindet.
Genau, das stand ja schon länger als Gerücht im Raum. Jetzt ist es amtlich nachzulesen in einem Programmdokument, das die Rai am 3. Juli veröffentlicht hat.
Genau, der künstlerische Direktor, der heißt Stefano Di Martino, der ist ja neu, hat das bei der Programmpräsentation in Ancona auch konkreter gemacht.
5 Festivalabende, 16. bis 20. Februar 2027, Dienstag und Mittwoch, alle Campioni mit ihren Wettbewerbsbeiträgen.
Und dann der Coverabend, der ist nicht mehr am Freitag, sondern ist am Donnerstagabend und der ist eben vorgezogen ein Tag.
Und der Freitag, der gehört komplett der neuen Performance Night.
Klingt nach Eurovision Goes Broadway oder so. Ja, und was passiert da genau?
Die Künstlerinnen präsentieren ihre Songs noch einmal, aber mit eigener kreativer Bühneninszenierung, Tänzerinnen, Choreografie, das volle Song-Contest-Programm halt sozusagen.
Genau. Und an dem Abend soll entschieden werden, wer Italien beim Eurovision Song Contest vertritt.
Ja, der Samstag bleibt dann wie gewohnt dem großen Gesamtsieger des Festivals vorbehalten. Also da werden wir wieder die große italienische Oper in Popform erleben.
Ja, und für uns ist interessant, gibt es dann 2 verschiedene Sieger oder gewinnen beide Abend derselbe? Und was ist mit den Acts, die gar nicht zum Eurovision Song Contest wollen? Treten die dann am Freitag gar nicht auf?
Ja, oder vielleicht werden sie sich nur an den Bühnenrand stellen und sagen, irgendwie ihre Songs nur mimen oder so. Was weiß man. Also ich bin mal gespannt. Der Samstag, wie gesagt, das wird dann immer der wirklich spannende Moment sein. Und manchmal werden wir uns dann wünschen, ja, der Samstagssieger wäre vielleicht doch besser gewesen.
Ja, das habe ich schon öfter gehabt.
Ja, genau.
Naja, am 18. Dezember ist die Sendung Sarà Sanremo. Da werden wir dann erfahren, alle Kandidaten, die auftreten werden. Und ja, dann wissen wir auch, wie viele Acts es 2027 sind, weil die Martino hat ja gesagt, dass es deutlich weniger werden, was vielleicht für unsere Schlafnächte ganz gut sein würde.
Das glaube ich ja wohl kaum, dass die jetzt endlich mal aufhören zu überziehen. Also da würde ich jetzt mal nicht davon
Sie waren pünktlich, es endet dann trotzdem um 1.45 Uhr, pünktlich halt. Ja.
Na, auf jeden Fall wissen wir es dann halt, also 30 waren es heuer, vielleicht werden es nur 25 sein, wer war's?
Ich finde es aber gut.
Ja. Naja, klar.
Findest du es gut? Dass man gleich weiß, was ist Eurovision Act?
Ja, dann ist das mal klar. Und da muss man nicht erst warten auf den Montag, bis sie sich dann entschieden haben, weil, glaube ich, das hat immer bis Montag gedauert.
Ich bin manchmal nach dem Sanremo-Finale um 3 Uhr dann noch wach geblieben, um rauszufinden, geht er jetzt zum Eurovision Song Contest oder nicht, und um 5 Uhr wusste ich es noch immer nicht.
Ja, weil sie hatten ja dann eine gewisse Zeit, wo sie sich entscheiden durften.
Ja, und diese Pressekonferenz, und manchmal haben sie es dann gesagt und manchmal auch nicht. Und wenn sie es nicht gesagt haben, dann wussten sie schon, da hat's was.
Ja, also mehr Platz für alle, also schauen wir mal.
Aber weißt du, was lustig ist?
Was?
Ich habe mal mit dem Hannes Tschürz mal es ist nie über eine grobe Projektidee hinausgegangen. Es ist nicht einmal in die Schublade gekommen, weil wir es noch nicht verschriftlicht haben. Aber wir haben einmal so eine Art Sanremo-Festival für österreichische Verhältnisse uns überlegt. Wir haben es Bad Ischl genannt. Es hätte auch Bad Gastein oder Villach oder, keine Ahnung, Landeck oder Gmünd sein können. Aber egal, ich habe es natürlich Bad Ischl, Festival ist Bad Ischl. Und das Lustige war, wir haben gesagt, Eurovision wäre schon wichtig, aber es würde den ganzen Abend, diese ganze Serie nicht tragen. Und unsere Idee war dann, einen Abend dem Song Contest zu widmen und die anderen Abende einfach der österreichischen Musik zu feiern. Lustig, dass die das jetzt so machen.
Warum hat der Tschirz das dann einfach das Sanremo weitergeschickt? Also gibt es schon einen Grund, warum hat das Konzept
hat er
so...
Geld verdient. So, ich schaue durch die Finger. Ich muss mal mit ihm reden.
Tschirzi, wir reden.
Übrigens, noch ein kleine Sanremo-Änderungen. Der Nachwuchssieger von Nuove Proposte, das gibt's nicht mehr einen eigenen Wettbewerb dann am Abend, sondern der kommt direkt ins Hauptfeld.
Genau, der Sieger von Sanremo, Giovanni, qualifiziert sich nämlich jetzt direkt für den Hauptbewerb.
Giovanni. Ja, das war schon mal so. Macht Mut. Der ist ja aus dem Jugendwettbewerb direkt ins Hauptfeld gekommen und gewinnt dann den ganzen Schatz sozusagen. Ja.
Mehrmals.
Ja.
Genau.
Fast den Song Contest ja auch noch.
Ja, genau. Ja, und dann gibt's natürlich auch eine traurige Nachricht aus Italien. Peppino Di Capri ist im Alter von fast 87 Jahren gestorben. Er vertrat Italien 1991 beim Song Contest in Rom und hat gleich zweimal Sanremo gewonnen, nämlich 1973 und 1976. Also, der war schon sehr berühmt.
Ja, Champagner, Saint-Tropez waren sehr berühmte Bands und er ist ja sozusagen einer der Interpreten des neapolitanischen Gesangs. Also Italiener verstehen den ja, glaube ich, nicht einmal. Ne? Und so gesehen ja auch einer, der in der Schule, wo Sal da Vinci zu Hause ist, mit diesem neapolitanischen Gesang.
Genau.
Ja, ist traurig. Merci, Chérie, die kleine Song-Contest-Geschichte am Schluss. Alkis, welche Barockoper hast du mir mitgebracht?
Es wäre natürlich naheliegend, über Malena Ernmann zu reden, die ja eine großartige Barockopern-Interpretin ist.
Ich kenne ihre Mozart-Interpretation. Hat sie Barock auch?
Purcell.
Purcell.
Ich habe sie hier als Dido gesehen, zum Beispiel. Ja? Also der britische Zweig der Barockoper.
Also für alle, die es nicht wissen, Malena Ernmann, Schweden 2009, genau.
Und die Mutter von, natürlich...
ja, ich will jetzt über die nicht mehr reden, die ist in meiner Achtung sehr gesunken.
Anyway, aber wir reden von der anderen großen italienischen Oper, nämlich wir reden von Rigoletto, Simon Boccanegra, Aida, La Traviata.
Elena Czajewa.
Nein. Wir reden von Ingvar Wicksell.
Das
nämlich
ist schon länger her,
den schwedischen Star-Bariton, der einen Großteil seiner Karriere in Berlin, an der Deutschen Oper Berlin gesungen hat und tatsächlich 1965 beim Song Contest für Schweden antrat. Und er hat dort im Vorentscheid, im Vorfeld vom Melodiefestivalen hat er 8 Songs zur Auswahl bekommen. 6 davon hat er interpretiert, 2 hat er gleich einmal abgelehnt, die wollte er nicht singen. Und gewonnen hat damals Absent Friend. Eine Ballade, die ganz wunderbar war. Die Schweden, das war jetzt kein Hit, das ist im Mittelfeld gelandet, aber es hatte weitreichende Änderungen gehabt.
Das sind ja nur 3 Punkte.
Das Mittelfeld damals, das gab ja nicht so viele.
Es gab nicht so viele Punkte.
Es gab nicht
Wie
so
viel
viele
ist es geworden? Weißt du jetzt auch nicht mehr.
8., 9., keine Ahnung. Aber es ist völlig wurscht, wie viel er geworden ist. Dieses Lied hatte weitreichende Folgen für den Song Contest.
Okay. Ach so, weil es Englisch war.
Es war Englisch und es hat daraufhin geführt, dass 1966 die Sprachenregelung eingeführt wurde, weil es war das erste fremdsprachige Lied, was gesungen wurde beim Song Contest.
Es war vorher eigentlich...
Es gab keine Regelung.
Es war nur üblich.
Es war einfach nur üblich und es wurde nie gemacht. Und dadurch, dass er es eben auf Englisch gesungen hat, weil sich die Schweden gesagt haben, mit unserer Sprache werden wir nie gewinnen, weil im Vorentscheid hat er es auf Schwedisch gesungen übrigens, ist es dann tatsächlich 1966 zur Sprachregelung gekommen, die dann tatsächlich 1974 aufgehoben worden ist.
Er ist übrigens tatsächlich 10. von 18. geworden und hatte 6 Punkte. Ich habe es nachgeschaut.
Ja, genau. Also eine wunderschöne Ballade. Ich mag das noch immer, das Lied. Aber ich bin ja natürlich der Mensch, der mit 60er-Songs liebt.
Ich habe keine Ahnung. Ich müsste mir das nochmal anhören. Ich kann mich nicht erinnern.
Ist kein Problem. Aber auf jeden Fall, der hat damals die Sprachregelung eingeführt oder initiiert.
Initiiert. Er ist der Grund. Und dann hat man es wieder aufgelöst, dann wieder eingeführt, dann wieder aufgelöst, dann wieder eingeführt und dann wieder aufgelöst.
Naja, sie wurde eigentlich mit den 2 Jahren 74, 75 und ein ganz klein wenig noch 76 aufgeweicht und danach wieder eingeführt und dann streng durchgezogen bis Ende der 90er.
Danke für diese Geschichte.
Gerne.
In welche Barockoper gehen wir jetzt? Jetzt gehen wir in
Semiramide.
Achso, okay. Ich dachte, wir gehen jetzt in Cesare Negitto. Merci, chérie. So heißt doch die Oper.
Marco, start hosting now.
Yes, all right. Oh, the pressure.
Missing Link.